Evelyn Harper stood in the arrival section of the airport, holding a cardboard sign that read Mr. Callahan in her sister's rushed handwriting. She glanced at her phone again, rereading the frantic messages from Sienna that had started flooding in 20 minutes earlier. Emergency food poisoning. Can't pick up mom's client. Please go to the airport now. Hold a sign with his name. He's flying in from London. This is huge for my business. Please, please, please. Evelyn had been halfway through her shift at the bookstore when the texts arrived. Now she stood awkwardly among sleek travelers in suits and designer luggage, wearing jeans and a cardigan, looking every bit like the stand-in she was. At 26, Evelyn was used to being the backup plan. Sienna was the glamorous one, the ambitious one who fit perfectly into their mother's luxury concierge business. Evelyn preferred the quiet world of books, not limousines and high-end clients. "Excuse me, are you here for Callahan?" She turned to find a man in his late 30s standing in front of her, a tall, confident, strikingly handsome in a gray coat and dark suit. "Yes," she said, trying to sound professional. "Mr. Callahan, I'm here to take you to your hotel. I'm Evelyn Harper, filling in for my sister, Sienna." He studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable, then nodded. "I see. Well, lead the way, Ms. Harper." As they walked toward the parking garage, Evelyn repeated the details Sienna had texted her. British businessman, very wealthy, potential client, don't mess this up. "How was your flight?" she asked, trying to sound composed. "Long," he replied with an accent that made everything sound effortlessly elegant. "Necessary for business, but I can't say I enjoy flying." "What kind of business are you in, Mr. Callahan?" "Commercial real estate," he said. "Primarily in Europe, expanding to the States." They reached Sienna's sleek black sedan, a definite upgrade from Evelyn's old Honda. She was relieved to at least look professional. As they drove, he focused on his phone, and the silence between them felt heavy. Evelyn switched on a classical music station, hoping it sounded refined. "Not what I expected," he said suddenly. "The music?" "No." He looked at her with faint amusement. "You," she blinked. "Me? Your sister mentioned the business was family-run, but I wasn't expecting such a broken bar personal touch. Most concierge services send chauffeurs. Note a broken bar." He gestured lightly toward her. "Not bookstore clerks pretending to be professional drivers?" she finished, smiling sheepishly. "This is a last-minute emergency. I promise I can drive, even if I'm not exactly a concierge material." A small smile tugged at his lips. "Honesty, that's refreshing." "I've never been good at pretending," she said. "It's probably why I work in a bookstore instead of my mother's company." "You work in a bookstore?" His tone softened. "What kind?" "Independent shop in the Arts District. We host readings and author events." "Not glamorous, but it makes me happy." "That actually sounds wonderful," he said. "Tell me, what are you reading right now?" They began to talk, and the drive that might have been stiff and formal turned into an unexpected exchange of ideas and laughter. He quoted favorite authors. She teased his taste in poetry. When they finally pulled up at his five-star hotel, Evelyn realized she hadn't stopped smiling for most of the ride. "Well, Mr. Callahan," she said as a valet approached, "I hope this emergency backup service met your standards." "More than acceptable," he replied, meeting her gaze. "Actually, it's been the best airport pickup I've ever had." "Thank you, Evelyn." She blushed. "You're welcome. I hope your stay Isa." "Have dinner with me," he interrupted. She froze. "What, dinner? Tonight?" "That's not a broken bar appropriate," she said. "You're a client. I'm supposed to be professional." "I'm not asking as a client," he said, smiling. "I'm asking as someone who just spent 45 minutes having the most genuine conversation I've had in months." She hesitated. "I don't even know your first name." "Kieran," he said simply. "Kieran Callahan." "Now will you have dinner with me?" Against every shred of logic, Evelyn heard herself say yes. That night, they met at a small, cozy restaurant, nothing like the polished places her mother's clients preferred. Conversation flowed effortlessly again. He told her about his childhood in Ireland, about losing his parents young and building his company from nothing. She spoke of her quiet dreams and how she'd always felt like an outsider in her own family. "Why do I feel like I can tell you things I don't tell anyone?" he asked over dessert. Maybe because this wasn't supposed to happen, she said. We weren't supposed to meet, so the usual rules don't apply. Kieran's smile faded slightly. About that broken bar, I should probably tell you something. Evelyn frowned. What do you mean? I'm not that Mr. Callahan. Her stomach dropped. What? I mean, I am Kieran Callahan. But I'm not your mother's client. I saw you holding the sign. Assumed you were for me. My flight was from London. The name matched. I didn't realize the mix-up until later. By then, yeah, broken bar. He hesitated. I didn't want the moment to end. You lied to me? Evelyn's cheeks burned. Not exactly lied, he said carefully. Just didn't correct the mistake. I'm sorry. I should have said something immediately. I just a broken bar liked talking to you. She wanted to be furious, but instead she found herself laughing, partly from shock, partly from disbelief. So, the real Mr. Callahan? She asked. He's fine. I checked. Another service picked him up. No disaster. Just a broken bar crossed wires. Evelyn exhaled, shaking her head. This is insane. My sister's going to kill me. Maybe, he said with a grin, but I'm not sorry, because meeting you even by accident has been the best mistake I've ever made. She should have walked away, but she didn't. For the rest of his week in town, they saw each other daily. Coffee shops, bookstores, long walks through the park. Kieran extended his stay twice, and by the time his trip was ending, he confessed the truth she already sensed. I'm falling in love with you, he said quietly. Come with me to London, or I'll stay here. Whatever it takes. You're supposed to be in my life by accident, she said, half laughing, half trembling. Maybe accidents are just life's way of giving us what we need, he replied. He didn't leave that week. He restructured his company to spend time in both cities. 6 months later, in the same airport where they met, Kieran stood holding a sign that read, "Will you marry the wrong Mr. Callahan?" She said yes. Years later, they would tell the story again and again. How a simple mistake turned into a love story. How fate had a sense of humor, and how sometimes, showing up for the wrong person can lead you exactly where you're meant to be. The first time Evelyn realized love wasn't always simple, she was standing in Kieran's London penthouse, staring out at the skyline that looked nothing like home. The city glittered beneath her, cold and dazzling, 1,000 stories unfolding at once, and yet she felt strangely alone. Kieran was late again. Dinner sat untouched on the table, candles half melted. The clock ticked past 9, then 10. He'd promised he'd be home early and no work tonight. I swear, but the phone call from his assistant an hour ago had said otherwise. He finally arrived, exhausted, his tie loosened, the smell of rain and city air clinging to him. Evelyn, I'm sorry, he said, setting down his briefcase. The meeting ran over. Then there was a last-minute deal. You said tonight was just for us, she interrupted quietly. He sighed, guilt flickering in his eyes. I know, but this always this project, she said. Always the next deal, the next client, the next expansion. Evelyn, this is my work. You knew what I did when you married me. I knew who you were, not who you've become. Her voice cracked just slightly, and the silence that followed felt sharp enough to cut through glass. Kieran rubbed his temples. I'm doing this for us, for our future. I didn't marry you for skyscrapers or profits, she said. I married you because, for once, someone looked at me and saw more than the quiet girl with a book in her hands. He met her eyes then, something raw and uncertain flickering behind his usual confidence. And you still are that girl, he said softly. The one who makes me forget the rest of the world. Then why, she whispered, does it feel like I'm the one being forgotten? He didn't have an answer. That night, Evelyn lay awake beside him, listening to the steady rhythm of the city outside. Horns, sirens, rain against glass, and wondered when love had started feeling like loneliness. The next morning, she made a decision. She found a small bookstore tucked in a quiet corner of London, owned by an elderly couple who reminded her of everything she'd once loved about her old life. By the end of the week, she'd accepted a part-time job there. When she told Kieran, he blinked in surprise. You want to work? You don't have to. I need to, she said. Not for money, for me. He hesitated, then nodded slowly. If it makes you happy. At first, it did. The smell of old pages, the sound of quiet laughter from customers, the soft chime of the doorbell, it grounded her again, and slowly, She began to find her rhythm in this new city, apart from Kieran's world of glass towers and boardrooms. But the distance between them didn't vanish, it changed shape. Sometimes he'd stop by the shop in the middle of the day, still in his suit, looking out of place among the paperbacks. He'd buy a book he'd never have time to read, kiss her forehead, and disappear again. Other times, he'd cancel plans last minute, his apologies becoming familiar, his absences longer, until one evening, Evelyn arrived home to find him sitting on the couch, staring at an email on his laptop. "I've been offered a merger," he said quietly. "It would mean months of travel, Paris, Dubai, New York. It's huge." Her heart sank. "And what about us?" He looked torn. "It's an opportunity I can't ignore. But I don't want to lose you, Evelyn." She swallowed hard. "Then don't." "I'll try," he said, but even he didn't sound convinced. Over the next weeks, Kieran's world spun faster, and Evelyn's grew smaller. She buried herself in the bookstore, writing letters to him she never sent, pages filled with things she couldn't say face to face. Then, one night, as she was closing up the shop, a man walked in, tall, dark-haired, wearing a kind smile. "Are you Evelyn Callahan?" he asked. "Yes, I'm Noah. I work with Kieran, or used to." "He asked me to deliver this." He handed her a small envelope. Inside was a note in Kieran's handwriting. "Evelyn, if I could build a world from the ground up, I'd build one small enough that you were always within reach. But I keep chasing things I can't hold. I don't want to lose you to my ambition, but I don't know how to stop being who I've always been. Please, wait for me. Love, K." Tears blurred the words. She folded the note carefully, then whispered to herself, "I won't wait forever." But she did after a while. Months passed. Kieran called less often. Evelyn stopped counting the time zones between them. She poured her heart into the bookstore, into words and stories that didn't leave. Then, one rainy evening, the doorbell chimed, and there he was. No briefcase, no suit, just Kieran, drenched, tired, and human again. "I walked away," he said before she could speak. "From the deal, from the company, from everything that made me forget who I was." Her breath caught. "Why?" "Because none of it mattered without you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the old cardboard sign, the one that had started it all. Mr. Callahan was still written across it in her sister's handwriting, now faded and creased. "I kept this," he said quietly, "because it reminded me that the best thing in my life came from a mistake." Evelyn smiled through her tears. "You really did find your way back from being the wrong Mr. Callahan." "Maybe," he said, taking her hands, "but this time, I want to be the right husband." And this time, he was.